Hi, welcome back to Life is a Treasure podcast. I'm your hostess, Michelle Durand, and this is episode number 17. Today, I'm joined with a guest. Her name is Clarissa Romero with Beauty from Ashes. Her website is beautyfromashes.site, S-I-T-E. She is a blogger for broken women who have been abused by a significant other, a family member, or a friend. She helps women to get through their tough situations by encouraging them that it can and will get better. She's sharing her story about surviving narcissism and overcoming the emotional abuse. And we're going to talk a little bit more about self-worth. If you want to hear an episode solely on self-worth, you can listen to episode number 16. So I hope that you get some inspiration, encouragement, and hope from this episode. And if you or someone else you know may be in a relationship that doesn't feel healthy or normal, then I encourage you to please share this episode with them. And thank you so much for listening. So let's get started. Hi, Clarissa. Welcome to Life is a Treasure podcast.
Hello.
So glad to have you here. Today we have a beautiful guest. Her name is Clarissa Romero, and she's also from Louisiana. And I thought that was just so awesome that we both connected and that you're from Louisiana as well. And Clarissa is a blogger, and her website is called Beauty from Ashes. And so, Clarissa, I wanted to ask you, I love the name of your site. How did you come up with this name for your blog?
It was in one of the songs that I had listened to, and I should have gotten that song so I can tell you exactly. But it was a song that was playing on K-Love. I don't know what station it is for you guys, but for us in Louisiana, it is 90.9. And then it's in the Bible. I mean, he gave us beauty for ashes, and it's taken me out of that hard, dark time and putting me in a light. So that's how I came up with it. It was beauty from ashes. I mean, it's a scriptural thing.
It's so beautiful. So you mentioned you were in a really dark time. Would you like to share a little bit about that? Like, what was the dark time like for you?
Yes. So the dark time for me was when I was in this relationship back in 2013. So I married someone who I thought was my knight in shining armor. I mean, it's every girl's dream. Everything's perfect. I mean, I didn't get sent flowers to work before this guy came into my life. I would randomly get flowers at work just because I would get home to my favorite wines, just because, just different things. And then we got married. And very soon after getting married, it became a nightmare. So my dark time was during probably the last 6 months of our relationship, 6 to 7 months, was very, very dark for me. In a way that it was very abusive, verbally, emotionally, mentally. It was really, really bad. And that, stems from me later finding out, much later, about what narcissistic is and those types of relationships.
So you found out that you were in a narcissistic relationship? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So did you have any red flags or signs to show you that maybe he was? Or did you even know in the relationship that what narcissism was?
I did not.
Okay.
I didn't know what it was. Had never heard the word before.
Okay. So what were some of the signs? Like if someone's listening right now and they suspect maybe they're in a narcissist relationship, what are some of the red flags and warning signs that you could look back and reflect on and say, oh, wow, yeah, this was a sign or a red flag that they could be looking for?
The biggest one for me, because I see it with other people now, is the rush to get into marriage. The rush to, let's just get married now. We're going to get married anyway, so let's get married today. You know, and it's the I love yous within a week of knowing you. It's the courting and everything's so early on. And it makes you feel like you don't question it if you don't know anything about it.
Right.
But if you know, you're like, wait, that's a red flag, because one, what's the rush really?
Right.
Another red flag for me is if you have a good job and then they're like, well, I'll support you. No, because you don't need that financial support. You want to be a partner with someone. You don't want someone to come in and basically take everything from you, because eventually that's what happens, and then isolation begins. So that's definitely the two main red flags for me that I would share with others.
So does it become sort of like a codependent relationship?
100%.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So they want to isolate you and keep you all to themselves to cover up what's happening so that others don't find out, maybe, and let you know that, hey, that's not normal. That's not right.
Correct.
Okay.
Because those people they'll be careful of who you hang out with.
Okay.
And if it happens to be anyone that they seem as a risk, they see it as a risk of, okay, they'll tell her, they may have some kind of influence on her. They'll come up with a reason where you never hang out with them again.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not good, but I mean, it's good to, let people know, because maybe they've never heard of it, but they just feel like something's not right and, something's not normal, and they can't pinpoint it. And if they hear your story and all of your knowledge that you've been researching, about this narcissistic tendencies, that they might be able to realize. And I think that's the first step, is having awareness of what's happening, so that awareness allows us to take the step to get out or to make changes. Do you believe that? Is that what happened in your situation?
Yes, 100%. Because the longer you're in it without someone to help you get out of it, the longer you feel like there's no way out. And you don't have a vehicle at some point. Some people don't have a vehicle. They like, oh, we can share a vehicle. Let's sell yours. Oh, I'll be the the breadwinner in this family. You can quit your job. And then you end up, then you're left at home alone. You're not included. If you have kids, it's even worse, because you're left with the kids alone 24/7. You don't have a right to ask them where they are or what they're doing. You're left behind, and with no means to get anywhere or to get out,
So why do you think that women stay in that situation, like feeling that way? You know what I mean? Like after those things have been stripped away from them, why do you think that they stay? What makes them not leave or get out of that relationship? What are the challenges?
Fear is the biggest challenge. Sometimes they're just comfortable. It's just, it's their normal. And you don't realize that it's not normal until you get out of that kind of situation. And means for finances and transportation. And, if they don't have a transportation, how do they get to work? But yet, how do they get money if they don't go to work to get transportation or to get an apartment or to get those resources? And that's why narcissists, they know what they're doing, and they know how to create that pattern, which you're ultimately stuck in,
Yeah, it sounds like they disable you.
Correct.
Okay.
They do.
How about, how was your self-worth during that time, and on your journey? How was your self-worth?
Next to nothing.
It sounds like
next to nothing.
It would be stripped away.
Yes, it definitely is.
Okay.
Because you fight for yourself in a sense that they point out all the flaws. So you feel like, okay, well, now I have to fix all these flaws for them to accept me. Then you fix them, and they're still not accepted.
Not good enough.
Not ever good enough.
Okay.
And it's always somebody being compared and those kinds of things. So yeah, you don't have You don't have any positive self-worth at all.
How depressing. Did you go through depression during that feeling that way and during that time?
Yes, definitely. I didn't leave the house for 3 weeks at one point. The first time I left was for a job interview. Thank God I did have a car at the time, because otherwise I don't know how I would have gotten out, because these people became my safe place ultimately. But yeah, you just it's very depressing. It is. It's very dark. I didn't want to go outside. I didn't want to talk to people. I had shut my family out, my friends out. It was just easier to be by myself, you know?
So he got you where he wanted you, and
Yes.
you had such a dark experience. You were in a dark place. On your blog, you share, and I love your blog. I love your
Thank
consistency
you.
and your content. It's so awesome. I love how open you are. I love the letter your parents wrote. I definitely encourage anyone who's listening to go check out her blog at beautyfromashes.site. It is amazing. And she has a lot of information on her site as well about the topics that we're talking about. But when you found yourself in that dark season, you share on your website that you had a day of freedom. What do you mean? What does that mean, your day of freedom?
So my day of freedom consisted of enough was enough, and it was now or never. And I contacted someone for a restraining order.
Okay.
And that was my final straw that I could finally actually get away.
Okay. Yeah.
I know that a lot of people say that, oh, it's just a piece of paper, but it's a mental thing.
Okay.
It's a mental thing for someone to have even that one piece of paper that makes them feel protected in some sort of manner. So that was definitely my aha moment, that I can do this and I can keep pushing forward.
Were you scared when you went to get the restraining order?
I was not scared, because I knew people that, I had kind of gone through Faith House and they helped me. Then I had other people that were in the court system already that I knew that had met before, who actually who helped me get that restraining order correctly.
So if someone's listening and they're in that situation and they want to get out and have their day of freedom like you did, what is that first step that you would recommend that they do if they want to take action like you did?
I think that the first step is definitely to come up with a plan. And like I've said before in my blog, make sure you do not write it down.
Okay.
Because they find everything. I don't know how, but they do.
That's their job.
Yes, it is. And just write it. Don't write it down. Keep it in your head. Tell only the closest people that you can trust. Because even your close, sometimes one or two people within your close circle are feeding him the information that he wants, him or her. So just be very careful of who you share that with. And then just ask for support. If it's something like, okay, we're going to get it today, and you have a friend to pick you up while that person's at work, you have to be sneaky. It's horrible, but you have to be very, very diligent, very precise with your plan. Yeah, very careful.
Yeah, very careful, and try to be a little bit more clever than they are.
Correct.
Yeah. And is there organizations and places that people can call to find out like you mentioned, I think Faith House, you said, I know they have one in Acadiana, but is there do you know of a hotline or some type of place they can call? How do they find a center in their area that can help them?
It's domestic abuse. I want to say it's .org. I'd have to look it up, but domestic abuse, they can Google it. They have the suicide hotline. That's a national hotline. If you're local, if you're North Louisiana, they have DART. It's DART, and they are a domestic abuse task force.
Okay.
If it's South, it's Faith House.
Okay.
And then they have local women's shelters as well.
Okay. Yeah, and they can help. I believe the woman who has no one. Like you
Right.
said, a lot of times they alienate you so much that you're strictly by yourself. And I feel like those organizations are there to help these women, who are in that situation, like walk them through, go with them to the courthouse and things like that, right? I've seen that happen
Yes.
before.
Yes.
So
And
they're
Faith House
great.
is a huge resource for that. They will
Okay.
they will go through those things with women.
Yeah. I think it's good that women know that because they've maybe never experienced that and never had to go through that process, and it might seem real daunting or scary and they don't know. But I think, yeah, you're right. That very first step is to contact some organization like that without him knowing, and maybe from a friend's phone or something, because a lot of times they're looking at your cell phone records to see who you're talking to. They don't
Yes.
trust themselves and they don't trust you for sure when you're in
Correct.
that relationship. So I love that you shared that. And so I want to talk a little bit about, I know that in that narcissistic relationship that it is an emotional abuse. And I want to talk about that a little bit more because I feel like in society it's very difficult. I think that is a block for many women because of this, that it's not something that you can see. And it's like, it's not a physical mark, it's not like you have a
Right.
black eye or bruises on you. They're inner wounds. So they're bruising your heart and in your mind. And do you want to talk about that a little bit? Like how your knowledge on that, that inner wound and the fact that it can't be seen, but it's just as painful and it's like, I think more harmful sometimes than physical abuse. I mean, they're all horrible. Don't get me wrong, but
Mhm.
it's just the same. I don't see it as any different. Emotional abuse and physical abuse to me is the same. Abuse is abuse. But how do you feel about that? And what is your experience with having emotional abuse happen?
So, with my personal experience in emotional abuse, it was like almost, am I crazy?
Mm,
Almost as if like I was in my head too much. Am I okay? Um, maybe I didn't do that right. Maybe
mm-hmm.
it's like it's a constant struggle within yourself, and they know how to use that, and they know how to deepen that, and just by using words, just hurtful
Mm-hmm.
words, and that
Mm-hmm.
constantly replays in your head, and you go from, they come home and they act like they're excited and we plan something and you look forward to it, and then you're shut down because they don't want to spend the weekend with you all of a sudden, and
Oh.
then you plummet and then you cry and then they say they're sorry and they'll never do it again, so then you're happy and then you plummet again, and it's a constant emotional roller coaster, ups
Mm-hmm.
and downs, and sometimes you think, when am I ever going to be truly happy? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
want to feel what I used to feel, and eventually you become numb.
Yeah.
You become numb to things, and what should affect you or make you cry or make you happy doesn't.
Wow.
It's no longer effective, and it's just like, whatever, here we go again. um and it can lead to suicide because people don't know how to handle it, things like that. People, they don't have hope. A lot of people just don't have the hope, and they feel like suicide's the only way out, and it's very, very, it's not talked about enough,
Right.
for
That's
sure.
why I want to, so could not wait to do this interview and to speak about these things, because when we share and when we speak these things, they no longer have power over us. But when you're in the midst of it, like when you've come out on the other side now, but you were there, you were in the midst of it, you were depressed, you probably contemplated suicide. You didn't know who you were. You didn't have any self-worth left. And it is
Correct.
hard when you are so beat down to get back up, to find that strength to get up. And what are some words of encouragement you can give right now? If someone's listening and they're just where you were on the ground, feel like I'm on the ground and I just keep getting kicked and kicked. Every time I get up, he knocks me back down, or she, because it can be the
Mhm.
other way around. It could be a man in
Right.
an abusive relationship as well. But what are some words of encouragement that you could share to that person if they're listening and they're in pain and they're crying right now and they realize like, this is what I'm going through and I don't know what to do. Like just offer some hope in a few words, if you could, to that person.
Yeah. It just don't give up. Don't give up. Know that you are worth it. Know that your self-worth is much more than they can ever provide for you. Pray. God brought me through a lot of this. I was up at 3:30 in the morning praying because I didn't know what else to do. He will bring you through. He will put people in your life that will help you through and help you get free and help you just find yourself again, and just my biggest thing is don't give up. And if you have those thoughts of suicide, reach out to someone. Reach out to me. It doesn't, just reach out to someone. Yes.
And you have your contact information on your website, again, beautyfromashes.site, right? And I also saw you have the suicide hotline there and some resources. So please visit that site if you're listening and you feel like Clarissa's describing right now. You are not alone. Clarissa's here to give you hope and to encourage you that no matter what you're going through and no matter how unworthy you feel, you are worthy and you can heal, because Clarissa, if she can do it, so can you. And she gave us the first steps. And I bet at that time you probably thought, I'll never find love. Who's going to love me? Is that what you went through after you left him?
Well, it was more like, who is going to love me? Yes, but who is going to put up with possibly him still finding his way back into my life, And not only that, but like, what is normal? It was having to learn what normal was. And you get out of that kind of relationship, you get into another one, which is better, but sometimes it's still not the best,
right?
And you still having some struggles. You still like, wait, I've dealt with worse. So I survived the worst. I can survive this, right? But that's still not who God has for you. And that's still not the best person for you. And so sometimes God will remove even that person from your life. And you're like, well, they were my savior and they helped me. But they're not. They were put in your life to get you out of that situation, but not for you to stay there.
Oh, so
there is hope. There is someone who will love you exactly where you are. There is someone who will accept you exactly the way that you are and help you build yourself back up. They will hold your hand. Y'all may have to be broken together, and it may be a team effort. And if that's the case, it's even more amazing when the two of you get out, and you become whole and you become a huge resilient team, basically.
I like that because, it can be confusing. And when you've come out of an abusive relationship, I think what I have seen with women, and including myself, is that when we've come out of an abusive relationship and we're so broken and we look for someone else to come fix or complete us, but that's not always what we need. And because we will end up in the same relationship unless we do the inner work and heal ourselves. And I think that's the missing gap. It's jumping from one to the next, to the next.
Yes.
Having friends, I love that. That is true. That has helped me through so much. Just having, and even if it's a guy friend, you get a guy perspective and maybe they're going through it. But you're right. God will put those people in your life and they could maybe just be a friend. And it doesn't have to be a romantic person or your soulmate or your person. But I just want to stop about that because sometimes that is the pattern. It goes from one frying pan to the next. And then you really start to think, it's me. Something's wrong with me. But no, something's wrong with the relationship, the people that you're choosing, right?
Correct.
Do you agree with that?
Yes, 100%. Yes. And it may not be to every level of the first one. So he was a narcissist. The next one wasn't as bad, but he was still a narcissist. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you don't see that because you're like, well, it wasn't as bad as the last one, so this one's better. But it's not. It's still, they have levels of it. And until you heal yourself and what you attract, like you said, then you'll always attract those people because those are the people who build you up to tear you down.
And they prey on that. I believe what I have read, Norris, there's a great book called Healing from Hidden Abuse. And she talks about that, and it's in a wonderful book as well. And she talks about that right there, that if you don't heal yourself, you will continue to just make those same decisions. And, so I think that it's so important for, especially because we feel so broken and we're looking for someone to fix us, but they prey on that, and they're looking for women who are insecure. They look for women who are hurt already, and they want to be like the prince in the white horse. They want to be the savior, so that you just fall at their feet and say, "Oh yes, take care of me," and that's when it happens again.
Yes, and then you feel like, why is this happening to me again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and you feel like, again, it's your fault that you're choosing these people. But you don't realize that it is an inner thing, that you feel like you're not good enough for anybody else.
Yeah, and you settle.
You settle. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Exactly. So what are some books? How did you heal yourself? What are some tools that you can offer to help women heal from this abuse, emotional abuse and physical abuse too?
I read a book, now I'll put on the spot. I should have wrote these down. I do have some listed on the website.
Yeah, you do. You have some good ones on your website. So yeah, definitely check out her website for books, beautyfromashes.site. She has some amazing books on there to recommend for you to read as well.
Yes. And of course, now I'm drawing a blank.
It's okay. It'll come to you.
But yes, they're on the website.
Yeah, you have a lot. You probably have them all there. So let's see, where were we? Just in relationships. Okay, so you've overcome that and you healed yourself, right? You did your work for the inner healing through the books on your website and your blog. I'm sure writing helped heal. Journaling is an amazing tool also, right? Yes. Blogging. Is that when you started your blog?
Counseling. I went to a couple counselors.
Awesome.
And that I do tell people, do seek counseling, whether it's psychiatry or just psychology, or a Christian counselor. Just seek some kind of guidance, someone who is not in that situation with you, but who can shed some light in a protective space.
Oh, I love it, because there's also counseling online, and I have done it through like Better Health, I think it's called. But if you just counsel online counseling, they just do video just like we're doing right now, and they have video counseling available. And look for someone that specializes in narcissism, codependency, for sure, so that she can understand, or he can understand, like what you're going through and how to help you best. So I love that you said that, because it is so important. I think everyone should have therapy, because it's just a different perspective, and it's a person that's not emotionally involved. It's not like your family or your friends who love you so much. Yes, your counselor can love you almost, but they are giving you they allow you to reflect yourself. It's like counseling and therapy today is not just going, someone listening to you. It's reflective listening. They allow you to experience your emotions and express them in a safe place. So I love that you brought that up. It is so important for emotional healing as well. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
So you came out on the other side of it. You've done the healing, and I'm just curious, like, how is your life different now, today? It's like, I have an organization called Tears to Treasures. And so again, not only you were from Louisiana, but the name that you chose is so similar to mine, Tears to Treasures, beauty from ashes. So can you share with everyone, what is the beauty? What is the treasures that came from your ashes and your dark time?
Well, it gave me a purpose. It gave me that drive to help other people. And then it's just normal. Like, there's no stress. There's no emotional roller coaster. There's no, I can enjoy life. I can have lunch with my mom. I can go have a girl's day without facing repercussions when I got home, and it's such a beautiful thing to be able to sit with someone and just give them encouragement and say, look, I know you're living the life I lived. This is basically word by word of what I went through, and to be able to give them guidance and just to be there to talk. So it's been really, really a really cool journey. to be able to meet different people and to see where this is going to take me in the long run. And I'm excited about the people I'll get to meet and see their journey as well.
Oh, that's beautiful. And so, do you think that do you feel like you'll find love again? Do you feel worthy now of love and a healthy relationship now that you've been through this and you've healed from it? Because I know, when you're in that situation for years and like we just shared, and your self-worth is so low and you maybe don't feel like no anyone will love you unconditionally or accept you for who you really are, or you not very good enough. Like, I'm sure you struggled. I know I struggled with those same issues, and do you want to talk on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I am with someone
Yeah.
and we've both been through some very toxic relationships. So we have our moments where we're like, okay, let's talk this through. Um, Listen, I'm not doing anything I shouldn't be doing, or vice versa, just to reassure, because it's a process and it takes a lot of mental awareness, I guess you can say, of okay, this is truly normal. Because you leave those kinds of relationships, you get into one that's normal, and then you wait for that shoe to drop, right?
Yeah.
Like you're like, okay, well, but you're not mad. And they're like, well, no. I'm like, well, I would have been ripped to pieces in front of everyone before, and you go to something that's like, oh, cool, whatever. Maybe we weren't meant to be there, so it's like you go from one extreme to normal, and it's like I get to sleep at night. I am working on getting off of my anxiety medication.
Wow.
It's just one step at a time. I didn't have to argue to go work out at the gym. It was like, oh no, have fun, like your time. I get it. Because he's a writer as well. So we can be in two separate rooms writing, and we're okay with that.
Oh,
or if he says, hey, I'm going write, okay, cool. I will read. I will write myself. Or vice versa. It's not a constant, well, why are you leaving the room? Or who are you talking to? Or, and we know each other's purpose. And we're going to eventually do this purpose together. I don't know where God's going to take us. But my thing before he came into my life, my thing was, okay, God, you've told me for years I'm supposed to put you first. So here it is. I'm finally going to put you first. And it was, a learning of what I wanted. I wanted someone who had a close relationship with their mom and their family. I've never had that before. Yeah. So that was huge to me. He has that. He's very close with his family, and especially his mom, and he treats her well. And so when I saw the way he treated and interacted with her, I knew he would treat and interact with me just as well, if not more so, So that was the thing. And he had to love God, and he had to go to church. And those are my two requirements. And we met a long time ago when I was 7. So he's been in a picture for a long time. Our moms are really close. But I re-met him again at church. Yeah. So it's like, okay, God, is this who you have for me? And then we started hanging out and just taking one step at a time. And he wrote me an old-fashioned love note to ask me to be his girlfriend, which is the cutest thing ever. But so yeah, there is hope, and this is normal. And I have to remind myself often that, okay, he loves you for you. He compliments me all the time. He makes sure that I feel loved. He's very selfless, and it's all about like for my birthday. He made sure it was all about me, not about a normal day. He brought me. He gave me my gift. I've never had that before. It's always been like a normal day. I'm lucky if I got a happy birthday, And so now for him to make it like for me, I was like, I felt so special.
Oh,
and this is normal.
Yes. And every woman should feel special and loved unconditional, but with the narcissist relationship, it's all about them.
Right.
Never about
what
you.
You can do for them.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, it is hard to go from abuse relationships to like a new normal, the normal is a new normal, and it's a lot, like, I'm glad you share that because it's a big adjustment period, but also the beauty that came from your ashes, that you found love again, and that you were able to heal yourself and then be that whole person and not incomplete anymore. And then it's like, I believe that for good relationships, it takes two whole people, not one broken and one whole, like two whole individuals, like you were looking for someone who has his stuff together and he knows what he wants, and he doesn't have to get his self-worth from you, and you don't have to get your self-worth from him. And when you come together, there's not competition, there's just like companionship, and most importantly, communication, that he allows you to talk and you can share what you're thinking and feeling, versus in relationships where they're narcissists, you just can't. You can't share. They don't care what you're feeling. It's all about them. It's all about their decisions. And it doesn't matter what you think, what you feel. It's not valid in their eyes. But I love the truth that you share and that you spread and help women understand that they are worthy. And I love that you are in this relationship now, and I see the pictures of you all, and I'm so happy for you. And I just wanted to share that so people could see that there is hope again, and that person they're with is not the last person on earth. And I know another thing that is very common is they say, you will never find someone who loves me. You'll never find anyone like me. You'll never find anyone who will take care of you like I do. You'll never find anyone who will love you. And they put that in your head, and you start to believe that. And that's where we lose our self-worth. We believe their lies. And I want women to know that that is not the truth. And what you're talking about and what we're sharing is the truth. And the truth is what sets us free.
Right. But if they tell you that, you should be like, well, that's the point, right? That the point is, I don't want someone to love me like you love me.
Exactly.
And I don't want someone to take care of me like you take care of me, because you don't.
Exactly.
Right?
But you can't say that to them if they're abusive.
No.
No.
And you don't think about it that way either until you get out. And you're like, well, duh, I don't want another love like that. I don't want that again.
Yeah. But when you're in it, you just cannot think and see clearly.
Nope.
You can't even feel, as you said, you're just getting numb because you're so tired of hurting. That's how we cope. We just become numb and we don't feel joy. We don't feel any feelings, because if we numb out the hard, painful feelings, we also numb out the joy and the happiness and living life and realize that life is a treasure. We just don't feel, because that's how we are coping.
Yep, I agree.
So I love that you've come out of it. There's a rainbow after the storm, and there's beauty from ashes, and there's treasures from tears. And I just love this conversation. I hate that we have to talk about it, but I love that we are, because when we talk about these things, it gives women and men their power back. And lets them know that there is other ways, and that there is hope, and there is healing, and there is a better life available for them.
Yes.
They have to believe that, right?
They do. And just know not to give up. Suicide isn't the answer.
No.
It's not going to do anything. And murder isn't the other answer either.
Oh, no.
So, because sometimes in some relationships, it will get to, okay, it's him or me. It's either I commit suicide or I murder him, and vice versa. So those two options don't have to be an option at all.
No.
It could be completely taken off the table, and they can survive. You can survive.
There's people out there, I know that in that state of mind, we think there's no one out there and there's no one that cares, that we've been brainwashed. But I want people to know, if you're listening, that is not true. There are people out there. You just have to, like you said, praying. When you start praying, the doors start opening, things start happening and aligning, because God does not want us to suffer. And our soul knows what we want, and it'll start opening those doors, and it will provide a way out all the time. But we have to start taking that first step, whether that's to reach out to someone that we love and let them know what's going on. going get help, contacting someone and finding out what resources are there and the steps to get out of that situation safely. And especially if you have children, I don't think,
Yes.
it's very harmful for children to grow up with that and think that, wow, this is normal. This is how a man treats a woman. This is how a woman treats a man. And it could be very harmful, and it's emotionally abusive, I believe, to children as well. And
I agree.
I know it's harder to leave when you have children, but in the long run, when you look back, it's so much better, not only for yourself, but also for the children that are involved.
Yes, I agree. I don't personally have children of my own, so I don't know what that aspect is like. But it can't be easy. And so he did have children, and even his relationship with his children wasn't there. He would get them when he felt like it or whatever. And they saw that. They felt rejected.
Yeah. And that's another sign, right? A sign in how they treat their mother, or how they treat their sisters and other women, and also just how they treat their children. I mean, those are big, big signs that's unhealthy or not.
Yes.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Is there anything that I haven't asked you, or anything you'd like to share before we close up this interview?
I don't think so offhand. Okay. I do thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm super excited.
Me
us
too.
Louisiana girls have to stick together.
Oh yeah.
But I look forward to where this journey is going to take both of us.
Yes. And so let's say someone is listening and they want to get in touch with you. Where can they find you, and what is the best way that they can contact you and reach out to you?
So I'm on Instagram,
okay,
and it's at Beauty from Ashes Site, and that's SITE.
Okay.
I'm also on Facebook, and that's at Beauty from Ashes Site, SITE. And then my website, which is beautyfromashes.site. And then there's a comment section that has our contact us section, should I say. And you can contact me there. It goes to my email. Okay. I can get direct messaging on Facebook and also DM on Instagram.
Awesome. And I will have all those links in the show notes, so they can just click on them and go right to your website and your profiles. On your website, you have your Instagram and your Facebook icon that they can just go to your website and then click on there to go to your Facebook or Instagram page?
I want to say yes.
Okay.
I'll have to double check.
I think you do, but
I think so.
And if not, we can include them all separate. So I am honored to have you, on the show. And I know, and I believe with all my heart, that you're going to help someone who's listening, who's in that situation. And the things that you've shared are going to help them to see that, maybe this is what I am in, or, maybe they're not that far yet, but the little red flags will let them know that, yeah, this is sounding like what I'm looking at. And then from there to how to heal, and then just the hope that they can find love again. And I just love what you're doing. And I couldn't wait to bring you on the show to share this information with the world and let them know that you exist and that you understand and you get them. And so I encourage anyone who's listening to reach out to Clarissa. Let her know everything is confidential, so you don't have to share anything with her. She doesn't want to share any of your information. I totally feel like you can trust her, and she can help you, even if it's to lead you in the right direction, help you know what's the first step to take. And I appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate your sharing your story and, being vulnerable, and I'm just so honored to have met you. And I know that we're going to continue. I look forward to having you back next year or sooner. And it's just been such a pleasure and an honor to have you on the show.
Well, thank you, Michelle. I enjoyed it.
Me too.
And I'm honored to be here as well.
Thank you so much. So we'll talk again next time.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for listening to Life is a Treasure podcast. As we begin to share our secret stories, others find the courage to start sharing theirs. And this is how the healing begins. So please help us by subscribing, reviewing, and sharing this podcast. And make sure to tag me on Instagram at Michelle Marie with 2 E's, Durand, D-U-R-A-N-D, with hashtag Life is a Treasure Podcast for a chance to get a shout out on the show. Also visit lifeisatreasure.com for all resources mentioned and freebies. And don't forget, come join us and continue the conversations in our free Facebook group, Life is a Treasure Podcast. The link will be in the show notes. You can also find my social media links on the website, lifeisatreasure.com. Again, thank you so much for listening. Until next week, peace, love, and joy.